All right, here we are looking at more check digits. Again, I said these things show up everywhere, so much content. We had to split this up a little bit into a couple days. So today we're going to look at ISBN 10 and routing numbers for banks. So ISBN, this is an international standard book number. You'll find these on every single book. And in fact, there are two different types, ISBN 10, which we're going to look at in here, and ISBN 13, which we will not look at, but if you're interested in, you could take a look in the book. So basically how this looks, this one's going to be very, very similar to the UPC scheme that we looked at. Not exactly the same, but a little bit, somewhat similar. So basically, if we have a 10-digit ISBN, if it is correctly coded, then we have this funky little scheme down here. So it's not as easy as alternating 3s and 1s. We have all these different weights. It goes from 10, 9, 8, all the way down to the very last digit. The 10th digit just has a weight of 1. So this sum, this weighted sum, is evenly divisible by 11. And you'll notice we used 7, we used 9, we used 11. Odd numbers are better for this type of scheme, especially for detecting errors. And in particular, numbers like 7 and 11 are good because they're prime numbers, so those have some extra special properties. Anyway, so probably, you will want to use Excel for this. I had mentioned before, you may want to come up with a template. We'll sort of talk through how we might do something like that. But, just one way to do it. Okay, so let's take a look at an example. If the weighted sum of the first 9 digits of a 10-digit ISBN, meaning the weighted sum, so that includes the 10, the 9, the 8, along with the digits A1, A2, A3, etc. If that weighted sum is 47, what is the 10th character? So, we got something kind of interesting going on here, right? So the first 9 digits, again, with their weights altogether is 47. So we have 47 plus that last digit. You can call it A10, or you could just say, plus X, right? That's our missing thing. Is supposed to be, right? This sum is supposed to be divisible by 11. Oops, a little sloppy there. That's fine. So one thing we could do is we could say, well, from 47, what is the next number, right? Basically, the next smallest number that that is divisible evenly by 11. And we might remember our 11s are pretty nice because they're, right, at least for a while, they double the digits. So 11, 22, 33, 44. 44 is a little less than this, but if we go to 55, oh yeah, 55 is the number we're going to want. So we basically just say, well, how much did I have to add from 47 to get to 55? And your answer would be 8. Of course, you could also do 55 minus 47 to get 8. So that's another way to do this. So our check digit, the 10th character should end up being just 8. So the check digit equals 8. There are certainly other ways to do this, but honestly, I think sometimes this is one of the easier ways to go. Now, if you did want to take the initial sum and say 47, I'm going to do equals 47 divided by 11, and put it into this form, yeah, it's not going to be, well, first of all, right, we should have a remainder with 11 in the bottom, so that's a little bit of a problem. So if we look at more number formats, you can kind of make sure you go out to a second digit so that this thing's out of 11 actually properly. But the thing is, we're not really looking for that remainder. We're actually saying, right, we did not get 3 as our answer. We got 8 as our answer. And we can still use this, though. So we could say, well, what would I have to add so that this becomes a whole number, right? What would I have to add in the numerator there? So 3/11ths, well, I would have to add 8 or 8/11ths to make this, actually evenly divisible, a whole number, evenly divisible by 11. But I don't know that that's going to be super intuitive for most people. So this may be the kind of faster way to go about that for questions like this. Okay, so this is finding the check digit. Okay, then if we have a 10-digit ISBN that has an X in the check digit position, why might there be an X in the check digit position? Well, for starters, all these ISBNs, if we think about what could be in this very last place, it could be a 0. Maybe those first 9 numbers when we do this weighted sum are already divisible by 11. It could be a 1 because maybe these are have a, you know, they're not quite divisible by 11. They need that extra 1 to go in there, all the way up to, well, we're never going to get to 11, right? So it is possible to have a remainder of 0, of 1, of 2. The very last remainder we could have is 10. We would never have 11 because that would mean we're already divisible by 11 up to that point. So we would just put a 0 on there. So 10 is the largest. The thing is, this is supposed to be a single digit. 10 is 2 digits. So what do we do for 10? We give it an X. And X, of course, as a Roman numeral represents 10. So this is actually kind of a logical choice for a single character to represent 10. So, okay, in this one it says, if an ISBN, a 10-digit ISBN has X in the check digit position, what is the remainder of the weighted sum divided by 11? Meaning this would be, right, the first 9 numbers. So basically we're saying, what is the sum such that we would need to add 10 to it so that this thing is divisible by 11? Well, that sum probably had a remainder of 1, because we would need to add 10 to that to get a nice even 11. Right? Of course, 11 is an odd number, but even 11 in terms of we want to make sure we end up with something that at the end of the day is evenly divisible by 11. So these two numbers, whatever the remainder is for those first 9 numbers, and the check digit together, right? That remainder and the check digit have to sum to 11. So that's another way to think about the previous one we did, right? When we actually did the division. Oh, I took that away. But when we had actually done the division there, we had said, well, we had a remainder of 3. So the check digit has to be 8, right? 3 plus 8 is 11. So that's another way to think about that. Okay, here we're going to determine the value of y so that the ISBN 10 given below is valid, meaning it is that the weighted sum with the check digit involved is divisible by 11, right? That's the big thing, divisible by 11. Well, what we can do here is kind of set up a scheme for this. So I'm going to copy this over, and look, it's got a 0 at the beginning. We saw last time, 0 at the beginning could be a problem. So when I copy this guy over, let's see, if I just do Control V, hit enter, okay, it actually lets me keep it. And now the reason is because it has that Y in there. If I change that to a number, it'll probably take the 0 off. And we said the easy fix also is just to do apostrophe, and then we don't have to worry about it. Actually, I'm going to move this guy just over here. So what we could do is come up with a scheme right here where we have, we just look at the individual digits, right? So I'm just going to go down the line. So 0, 4, 7, 1, 7, 3, 5, 0. Why I'm going to leave that as sort of its own space for the moment. Well, I can leave it in for now, but I'll show you why I'm going to consider changing that. And then all these guys, let me just make sure that we've got that kind of as general numbers so that they're formatted sort of the same. Okay, so the weighted sum, we could find that by, right, we can come up with a scheme. So we can say, well, 10 times that number plus 9 times that number plus 8 times this number. We can go in this kind of order. And in fact, there's an even more efficient way to do this. But again, some of this is about like, well, we're just sort of piecing our way through, right? We're just sort of finding a way so that if I have a different number, maybe I can just change column A, and then this weighted sum will automatically calculate for me. Okay, 5 times this guy, 4 times this guy, 3 times this guy, and I'm going to say 2 times this guy, even though it's going to give me an error, right? Because 2 times y doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Plus just our last one. You don't have to say 1 times that. So if I hit enter, it's going to say, that's not a great value. All right, I'm going to remove y. I'm just going to delete it. And Excel's going to say, oh, I assume that's a 0. So it's going to say, right now your weighted sum is this. let's do division by 11. So we're going to take, let's say, equals this number divided by 11. Now, if this thing is a whole number, that means our number here is valid. So here's what we can do. We can say, I'm not sure what y is supposed to be, right? So this thing is supposed to be y. Let's try a few numbers out. So 0, does 0 work? Nope, because that's what it was already interpreting it to be. 1, does that work? No, because I get 0.90. No, that's not going to work. 2, does that work? Nope. 3, does that work? Nope. How about 4? How about 5? Right? We kind of keep cycling through these until we find a number. Oh, there it is, right? 7, where this is a whole number, where we are actually evenly divisible by 11. So that when I divide this weighted sum by 11, including the check digit here, I really do get a whole number. So this, it turns out y should be 7 in order to make that work. All right, so y equals 7. Let me come back over here. Y equals 7. Boom, done. There are other ways to do this, of course, but this is at least one way. And I kind of wanted to incorporate, you know, what was a way that we could, if I had a different ISBN here, how could we see if it's actually valid? So just for example, I'm just going to do a 10 number thing. So let's just do 014 410 0145. Right? It's going to be a real simple number like that. So I'm just going to, of course, took my 0 off. Okay, there we go. So 0 1 4 4, whoops, 1 0 0 1 4 5. Okay, so is this one a valid number? No, it is not, because we don't have a whole number here when we do the division by 11. And in fact, all of these, I'll just make sure they're all in the right format. That bugs me. Okay, cool. So this would not be a valid number. I just made this number up, right? Top of my head, no big thing. But this would be a way to check. And again, there are maybe more sort of simpler ways to do this, but this is one way to go about it. Okay, so that's the idea of ISBN 10. I'll do a separate video actually on routing numbers. That should be a pretty short video though.